Welcome to the Over Brother Podcast. Me, host Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
Here we go, Dan. We're still marching on, even though the Academy Awards are over.
Oh, Mike, giving away our secrets of the trade here. So the Academy Awards were last night as of this recording. But we had come so far, and you had only been one film away at the time of the ceremony, I think. And then we've since both watched that, for you, remaining film. I still have Marty Supreme and Hamnet to watch, but we are going to round out and eventually do all 10 films. We're going to review all 10. We're almost there. And tonight we're going to talk about The Secret Agent, starring Wagner Moura, who, I always think of from Narcos as Pablo Escobar, and then he was, of course, in Civil War, which we did an episode on. Great film with Kirsten Dunst and her husband, Jesse Plemons, who has one of the scariest cameos you'll ever see on film. But Wagner Moura was in that film too. And so, and it's interesting because this came out, I think, November of last year is when it hit the States. Limited release, I believe. I don't think it was out very long.
It was out for 4 weeks.
Okay, so yeah.
And, didn't do much at the box office.
No. But what's really interesting about it is how resistant you were to see this film and review this film. And here we are, Mike, doing the film. So
yeah.
So we've both now watched the film. I saw it on Hulu.
Right. I watched it on Hulu as well. And it's funny because the night before I was just about to rent it. And I was like, well, it's going to come to streaming. And then you tell me the next day it's on streaming. I'm like, I could have watched it last night.
Right. Now, this is, again, topic we've talked about many, many times on the podcast, which is runtime of feature films these days. And this one clocks in at a whopping 2 hours and 41 minutes. So this is a long one to invest in. But I didn't know, as I think you would echo, we really didn't know anything about this film. And
I'm still not sure if I know anything.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe I can help in that regard.
Maybe.
But, we can say a little bit that this was, of course, one of the 10 films that was nominated for Best Picture. Now, it was also in the International Feature category as well, which Sentimental Value ended up winning for.
Correct. And I think I would have picked this over that. That's how much I liked it.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, so you're putting it out there right up front.
My argument stays the same. This is a foreign film. It shouldn't have been in that top 10 best films list.
Okay, now, if you go to our Oscar recap show where we were talking about changing, we continue to plead to the Academy to change the format of the Oscar Awards, right? And make it more of a celebratory evening of the art form. If it was that, would that change your opinion that you have now?
Yes.
Okay.
Because one wouldn't be crowned champion.
Okay.
They'd show me some of the highlights of the film and the reasons why I should go see it.
But okay, let's work through this a little bit more, though. If I hate to say it, best film happens to be an international film, what's the big deal? Why is that such a dividing
because
line?
Then it wins 2 awards, because there's an award for Best International Film, which Sentimental Value won.
I mean, it's not the American Academy Awards. I guess maybe it's implied and understood that that's what it is, just like the BAFTA, right, is the British Academy Awards, essentially.
Right.
So I'm not arguing your point. I'm just trying to kind of drill into it a little bit more, I think, because it's an interesting argument to make.
This has bothered me, and they used to not do it. They used to not let foreign films in the main film.
And they just have
recently
to
they
have a certain release in American theaters? Is that really the only criteria? You know what the criteria is?
I don't even know what the criteria is.
Okay. Yeah. Again, it's an interesting point. I'd love to hear from the listeners and viewers their thoughts on that argument.
Somebody tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I imagine you've got people that are in your camp and feel the same way, and then maybe others that disagree. And I'm kinda I don't
I
I'm
mean, these
indifferent.
get this and sentimental value got 2 bites at the apple. It got 2 chances to win.
Right,
The other
right.
8 films didn't get that opportunity.
And I think that's fair. So if the awards stay in its current iteration, then yeah, I get it. That makes sense, and perhaps that's why they didn't really take home any Academy Awards to speak of, right? You've got, again, Sentimental Value took them a big award in terms of the international feature film,
Right.
but I don't think I heard anything about The Secret Agent, did you?
No, but if you look overseas to some of the awards over there, Wagner Moura won several.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, just stay in your lane. That's all I'm
Mm,
saying.
okay. All right. And that's not a nationalistic sort of
No.
viewpoint that you're
No, I'm
spewing?
not
Okay.
like, oh, make America films great
Yeah,
again, you
but
know?
it's like, speaking of like political statements. Okay. Now, so this is really, it's set in the 70s
It's a
and
period piece.
it's a period piece. Yeah. You say that and I always think, early,
Gowns and
19,
Barry Lyndon.
yeah, 20th century, 19th century. But anyways, so it's set in 1977 and I say sort of Wagner, like Wagner. I guess you could say Wagner, the Americanized version of it. But
Right, but
he
you're right.
yeah,
Internationally, it would be Wagner.
Wagner. He plays a tech expert, and
Mhm.
he's got a bit of a past, and he's fleeing from that, and ends up coming back to his hometown of Recife, I think.
Recife, which is a
Recife, I
real
think it's
place in
yes,
Brazil.
correct, right. And he comes back to his hometown, but he quickly recognizes this is not a place where he can actually seek refuge. Like there's a lot of corruption and things going on
And
there.
he also finds out, we're not exactly sure why, and I don't think they ever tell us why, he's being sought to be put to death.
Well, I think we do know why. But to your point, I think this is one of the parts of the storyline that's it's a little murky. It's a little unclear. There's a character, an older guy, some sort of businessman or something that he has a meeting with. In a flashback in the film, you see with his wife
Mhm.
and Fatima, and they are there with this guy and his son, who's a bit of a goon.
Right.
And Wagner's character is like a researcher. Again, he's in tech, and he's got some patent on some
Right, that he got
technology.
through a university that he
Yeah.
worked for.
And this guy wants in, and he's kind of, so it's got something to do with that relationship between the two of them. And I think because maybe his character, Armando or Marcelo, depending on who you're talking to, because he's
Right.
kind of covert, is not willing to, get in cahoots with this guy. And I think that guy has it in for him as a result of that. I think that's kind of the underlying thing that's going on
And
there.
also what brings him back to, Brazil is his son is there
Yes,
with, he's left in the care of his grandfather
that's
or
right.
his stepfather,
That's right.
Wagner's
Yeah,
stepfather.
that's right. Because his mom, in the film, he's basically the whole through line is him trying to find what evidence of her. I don't want to say existence, but he doesn't have a lot to hold on to of his
Right.
mother. I don't think he has any real memories of his mother.
That, and plus, if he gets challenged about who he is,
Mm.
he wants proof that here's my mother, here's where she had me, blah blah blah. So he's in this records department for chunk of the film where he's just searching for his mother.
Yeah, he's looking for some documentation, as you said. But for a film that talk about capturing the 70s, wow, what an incredible job they did visually with this film. Like this is one where things, Mike, like costume design, set
Right.
decoration, really,
And you got to start with the car.
wow. The car, right? He's got this awesome VW Bug, right, which was
Yellow.
huge, yellow, classic as can be back in the 70s. In fact, our sister was actually, I think it was our neighbor across the street. Her brother if I might be screwing that up, had one of those, and I was fascinated as a kid, and I got a couple of rides in the car from him and stuff. But yeah, that was hugely popular in the 70s.
Yeah.
But that color and whatever they're doing with the lenses and with the camera work here, it's very striking. All the colors, all the imagery are very, very
And there was
striking.
somebody that they had to borrow that car from someone
Mm,
because they didn't want to make a fake one. They wanted it to be the real thing.
mhm,
So this guy lent it to them. He had bought it for, I think, 8,000 Brazil, which is a lot of money.
mhm. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
it is another one of those like characters in the film in and of itself. So yeah, the directing, it's a great film. You know, I mentioned the runtime. The pacing, it is a little slow. I think it's a film that I would have liked it to have been a little bit more suspenseful than I felt it was. I don't know if what did you think about the runtime? I mean, you liked it, so were you satisfied enough?
Well, I watched it over 2 nights, so you
Okay,
don't feel it as much that way.
right.
But I said to you earlier today, I haven't finished it yet. That's because it was like midnight last night. I'm like, there's still an hour left.
Well, what hooked you? What at what point were you like, okay, I'm all in?
Very early on, the humor, the dark humor was just, it starts out with this VW pulling into a gas station.
Hmm.
And just ahead, you have to pull around it, is a dead body covered in a newspaper.
Right.
And the guy that's working at the gas station is like, Matt, don't worry about that. He's been there for a week.
Yeah,
The
and you're like,
police, there's a carnival in town. And,
you're like, is this reality or is this
right.
really happening or it's not really happening? And then he's having throughout the film, he's having like some nightmares and
Yeah.
different flashbacks and dreams and things. And there's this fantastical element to the film too. Very much so at one point. They get into like about an hour in or so, it all of a sudden becomes a horror movie for a little bit. And it's
Yeah. Like
interesting. You would have the Jaws
I
poster up
put it up
behind you.
specifically.
Yeah, because that's very relevant. Talk about that in the
Yeah.
story.
His son, like I said, is in the, is with his grandfather.
His son
And
Fernando.
his grandfather is a projectionist. And this is 77. But I guess this is true, because there's a lot of shark attacks in Brazil, in this area. There was like 90 people
Tiger
killed by a
sharks.
shark. So they ran Jaws. This was 77. Jaws came out in 75. But they were running like clips of Jaws, and the kid was obsessed with it. And he hadn't seen the film yet. He just saw the poster, and he
Mhm,
kept drawing the poster.
mhm.
And the kid would have nightmares about everything, including sharks.
Well, what do you think is the deeper meaning there, though? That's not an accident that that's being like a focus of Kleber, the director's, focal point. Did something strike you there with a deeper meaning behind that?
Well, the fact that they, you know, took a shark out of the water that had a leg in it,
Hmm.
and they had to decipher, they were supposed to be deciphering who that was.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it was as simple as that, is because you've got this, Jaws. I think I even read that, right, there's some parallels there and maybe an homage or somewhat of a nod to Spielberg, which is, this coastal town that is being terrorized by this great white shark. And same here, as you just point out, right? That in like reality, Brazil, like coastal, there's sharks but
And then,
I think maybe it speaks a little bit to the corruption of the figures that are in authority in this
right.
area, particularly at this time, which is, Brazil's a very military controlled state at this point in time, back in the from 1964 all the way to 1985.
And right
It's
from the jump, I mentioned the VW pulling into the gas station, and
mhm.
then the cops show up shortly after. And the guy at the gas station is like, "Oh, you're finally here for the body." And they're like, "No, we're here to see the guy in the VW."
Mhm.
And they ask him for the fire extinguisher. which is relevant because in Brazil, if your fire extinguisher is expired, they can take your car and you have to pay a fine. So
Yeah, you mean the fire extinguisher in the car.
In the car.
Right. You got to explain
I guess
for
that's a
people
thing.
of a certain age. Yeah.
So the cops don't find anything. And the other thing is the spare tire is another thing they got people on. And everything in his car is fine. But and they're trying to get money out of the guy. They're going to try to say, hey, your extinguisher, it's $1,000. Finally, the cop just says, we need money. We want money from you. And he's got no money.
But he gives him cigarettes.
He gives him cigarettes.
He gives him cigarettes, yeah.
I mean, it was hilarious. I didn't describe it as funny, but it was hilarious.
No, it was hilarious. And like I said, there's dark comedic elements in the film for sure. Now, this is a really big, this military control, that runs through Brazil from the mid-'60s to the mid-'80s. It wouldn't be until after that they would have their first civilian president in 21 years, right? And then you fast forward to like 2018, 2019, and you got the Bolsonaro, who is in power from 2019 to 2022. He's now in prison because he was bringing back that sort of militant dictatorship, et cetera, this very fascist kind of, right.
Yep.
And he's now in prison as a result of that. And so, Wagner Moura and Kleber, the director, are both very outspoken about that. And this is something, their relationship goes back like 20-something years. They first met at the Cannes Film Festival. And interestingly, Kleber, the director, was a film critic at the time that they met. And he was reviewing some of his films. It was kind of an interesting pairing or way that they met.
It reminded me of Yorgos, this film.
Lanthimos, yeah.
Because there was some bizarre moments like the leg.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the hairy leg.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Well,
or are you going to toss to me?
It's folklore in Brazil.
Right.
That there's a hairy leg that attacks people. And they show it. And I'm just like...
But why is it an urban legend? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you. So, and it's more fascinating and powerful when you kind of read a little bit about it. So from the little that I know, it was the hairy leg, as you said, was an urban legend. And it was used as a tool against censorship at the time because of the military control that they were under. So what journalists would do is they couldn't just outright publish in the paper that night what was really being done by who it was really being done by. So what they would do, they would tell the news, but like use a device like a hairy leg in place of, Joe Schmo as the perpetrator, right? Because they'd probably go to jail or be shut down or imprisoned, right? And we're seeing a lot of that now in our society is happening.
Yep.
And so what you see Kleber do in the film, where it gets kind of fantastical, is there's literally a sequence where out of nowhere a leg starts hopping through this park.
Yeah.
And if you're paying attention, and again, this is the 70s and it's in Brazil, like there's a lot of sexual things going on. A lot of things in the park, a lot of cruising, to quote an Al Pacino film. I haven't done an episode on that one yet. Not sure we ever will. And the leg is going through the park, and it's like assaulting, a lot of these gay people that are in the park and women and this and that. But it's a statement that's being made, right? It's a statement not only by Kleber, the director here, using the imagery, but also that they were using at the time as journalists to be able to tell this news, in a fictional way, but or using a fictional device, I guess I should say.
And therein lies one of the issues is that, if you're Brazilian, I think there's a lot of nods to you in this film. Like there's a poster of Nadia Comaneci,
the culture,
the famous gymnast who, do you remember her?
Yeah, she was Russian.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, they
Is
adopted
it?
her into their,
Oh, I see.
she's part of their
That I didn't
lore.
pick up on. I mean,
You saw the
Carnival,
poster.
I don't even remember that.
Oh,
No.
wow, because they
No, it
showed it
just
like 3 times.
got right by me. The
Yeah.
Carnival is huge in Brazil.
Right, and at one point, he's driving, and there's this guy dressed up like a gorilla
Yeah,
with a
there's
red
a lot
mask.
a lot of weird sequences like
Right,
that. Yeah,
right.
that were right. But the hairy leg, that just to, again, it was used, they use fake stories to tell the news. It's kind of wild, pretty wild. But yeah, I, it was a long film. It wasn't painfully long, I wouldn't say, but I think the pacing could have been a little bit faster for me, or some more action sequences or suspense. Now they categorize this, Mike, as a neo-noir film. I don't know where this sits in the noir realm for you. Do you get sort of
No,
any pieces of that
I
at all?
didn't get
No?
that at all. It goes very quickly as
Mm.
far as the dialogue.
Well,
So
if you talk about if the film that we just did, that was a remake, and Don Siegel remade
The Killers?
The Killers,
Yeah,
that somewhat neo-noir. I know that definitely is more traditionally noir, but remember,
yeah,
it's like it went hard as opposed to the black and white and the shadows and things we've talked about on various noir films. It goes heavy into the bright colors, and
yeah.
it's so I don't know. There's some similarity there. I'm thinking of. What about this, Mike? I don't think we did an episode on this. I think we had planned to, and we never did, or something. Was The Conversation by Coppola,
Mhm.
because in this film, The Secret Agent, you've got this whole other storyline going on that's woven throughout, right? Of in the current time, in the present day,
Right,
there's these 2 young girls that are in some library or somewhere, and they are listening to tapes, which are tapes of the recordings of Wagner's character and others at that time,
right.
right? And they're trying to piece together, I guess, some of the history or something.
And then it skips ahead,
Mhm.
and Wagner's playing his son,
Yes.
which he looks totally different.
Well, they did a
it's
good
not
job.
digital or anything.
No, but I think it's just the fact that, he's got the nice bushy black hair and a beard throughout, but then when they cut to the sequence in the latter part of the film where he's playing his son,
Yeah, he's
clean shaven, but he's got some salt pepper, but very short hair. So
Right.
it works. Like, you kind of believe it,
Yeah, it did
which was
work.
which was interesting.
There was another actor I wondered if you noticed, Udo
Yes.
Kier,
Yes, of course.
the guy with the scars.
He just passed away
He
when this film
just
came out.
passed away. This was his last film, and it was
he
a
was in the-
small part.
He was in the Oscar memoriam.
Oh, I didn't see him in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And he was in Rob Zombie's Halloween.
What was he in Rob's Halloween?
I'd have to go back and look at it. I
okay.
just looked at, he has 444 credits.
It's interesting. Yeah, lots of credits. I was looking at his filmography. I didn't go back all the way down to see like Zombies Halloween, but he's got, first of all, a very striking look, and he's got very piercing eyes. And so he's more familiar to me than I think I am of his work in particular.
Yeah.
But that's interesting you say that. That's probably something that's in my subconscious, is because, of course, I'm a big fan of the Rob Zombie Halloween films.
Right.
But yes, I did pick up on that. I did. Udo Kier. Yeah.
And there were other films, like there was a Matt Damon film called Downsizing, which I might be the only person that ever saw that film.
Right.
And he was in that film as well, and a few others,
Yeah, kind of an interesting resurgence into some, like, he even voiced, I think, some characters in the Call of Duty franchise.
Correct. He did.
It's a very eclectic resume. Mike, let's jump down to the race. We're always talking about IMDb Metascores and Rotten Tomatoes scores and such. IMDb, Mike, hold on to your hat, 98%. Now, the audience is 82%. I'm probably 85, like 82, 85. I'm probably in there, I think.
I'm with you.
But 98% and 91, that's the critical review. What's your take on that? I mean, you liked it.
I did, and I think it's this weird film that you find yourself laughing, and then it's kind of shocking at the end.
Did you sort of laugh to yourself when early on you're like, oh, shit, I think I like this film? Because of how hesitant you've been to
No,
watch it.
because I wasn't hesitant because of the film. I was hesitant because it was in a wrong category.
You were hung up on that, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I wasn't negative against the film.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it pulled me in right from that opening sequence at the gas station. And you can go to the two-faced cat.
Yes, that was wild.
Which I know those exist.
And who is the woman, who's the older woman that plays, she's obviously one of these, she's in the underground with him.
Right.
It kind of made me think of One Battle After Another, these revolutionists, right?
Yeah.
That are kind of, they're all using aliases and right. And but the older woman that played like Donna Sebastiano or whatever her character's name was, she was fantastic.
Yeah. She was funny.
The very petite woman, older actress, she was great. I'm trying to see if I can figure out what her name was, because I wondered if she's got a long resume in maybe Brazilian films, perhaps.
There's a lot of things about this movie that are not really explained. Like they tease that he is a secret agent, but he's not. He's like you said, he's a tech expert. He's not a secret agent, yet one of the films, it's, secret agent being shown.
Oh, yeah.
And his wife's death was left not solved for us. I think they know what happened, but there's a lot of ambiguity throughout the film that might turn some people off. If you like closure, even the ending, it just kind of, I was like, that's it? You're not going to play this thread out?
Right.
So I want to say that too. I that's why those high numbers kind of surprise me, because there's a lot. And again, you have to know about the leg and the folklore and to get some of these bits, and the fact that it really is a shark haven for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of shark attacks.
I don't know if it's Tanya Maria, but that's the woman that plays the
yeah, when
Donna
you go to look at the
Sebastiano.
cast, there's like no photos. None of them have photos.
Yeah, you're right about that, except for like Wagner and, Udo, who you mentioned. I mean, there's a few. Gabrielle Leone, who played Bobby, was a cool character in the film. So, yeah, but man, what a striking film. You could put this film on and tell me it's a film from the 70s, and I would believe you.
Yeah.
That's how accurately I think they captured
I agree. And then
that time.
I don't know where it ended, but it was kind of a generic hospital.
Well, it's again like current time, right? Because you're seeing things like laptops, MacBooks. You're seeing like Apple Air phones. So there's some hints that kind of where we are now.
Yeah. But it never tells us. And that's one of the things I think that's good and bad. It doesn't beat us over the head with the plot.
Right.
It makes us figure out a lot.
Yeah. Do you think this is one that necessitates a second viewing at least, maybe?
Probably a second viewing. Beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah. Just to maybe fill in some of these gaps. Things that maybe we missed.
Yeah.
Perhaps, but I enjoyed it again. I felt it was a little long. I thought maybe whether with the editing or just some faster paced sequences might have helped it, like the strange hairy leg sequence. It's just, but that was just so bizarre out of left field.
And then the body being, there's a body at one point that these corrupt cops are throwing into the lake, and we really don't know who that is or what's going on there.
Right. Is it the person with missing the leg? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's really, really bizarre. And we kind of heard And like I said to you, I said I think we should watch it, and because I don't think it's what we think it is, and I'm not sure we had any idea what the film was really, to be honest. But it's a cool film. Now this would be one again for me. This would bump F1 out of the running. To be honest, if you check all the boxes again of the things
Right.
I'm looking for, it would bump F1 out of the top 10 films.
And again, I would cut it to 5 and bump both of them
Yeah,
in
okay,
sentimental value on its heels.
sure. That's
And
that's
that won
fair.
Best Foreign Film.
That's right. That's right. That's
So,
fair. And Mike for sure has a bone to pick there, folks, as you've heard. So, yeah. Well, The Secret Agent again. It's an enjoyable film. This isn't one I would say like go rush out to see
right.
it. It's a unique film. If you're interested in the subject matter in certain, like you said, a period film that's set in the 70s. I can't speak to how well they captured Brazilian culture at that time. I'm sure very accurately, given who's behind the camera and in front of the camera. So I think it's safe to say they did a great job there too. But so if very character driven, if you're looking for that, a little suspense. Again, thinking of like The Conversation and maybe some other films that were certainly influences for Kleber in making the film. That's for
Mhm.
sure. He said that in interviews, among many other films that were influences. But yeah, it's something. It's unique. It's something definitely original. But yeah, there you go. Anything else to say about The Secret Agent, Mike?
Yeah, like if you have Hulu, it's definitely if you're sitting there one night and you got nothing to watch, put this one in. Think you'll like it.
That was almost as resounding support statement as what was the one you had? But I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. But no,
Yeah,
I liked
yeah.
this film.
It wasn't terrible,
I thought there was some humor in it that just caught me by surprise.
for sure. Yeah. Well, there you go, folks. The Oh Brother Oscar nominated The Secret Agent review here. It's in the books. And Mike, we roll on as we get ready to round out all top 10 films here on the Oh Brother podcast. But this one's in the can. That's going to do it for another episode of the Oh Brother podcast. I'm your host, Stan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.